Groom imprisoned by Jinn. What is this story and how did the Jinn imprison him? Keep watching to find out what happened through this story. The story happened in an Arab country at the end of 2017. There was a man from Yemen who spent 14 years studying and learning the practice of Islamic exorcism ruqyah. He studied all its details until he mastered it. However, despite mastering it and reading the Quran for people, his financial situation was not good, and he was single and wanted to get married. He thought to himself, if I get a job opportunity in Saudi Arabia, I will go. Indeed, he got a job opportunity in Saudi Arabia at the end of 2017, specifically in Mecca. The man arrived in Mecca, and before doing anything else, he called his family to assure them of his arrival. He spoke with his mother, who told him that things were not well. He asked why, and his mother said that his sister had gone up to the roof before sunset the previous day while she was on her period, carrying a large pitcher. She threw the pitcher into a corner of the roof and then came down the stairs. As she descended, her hands started shaking, and she began to tremble. His mother said she wished he were there to recite the Quran for his sister, because they did not know what had happened to her. The man immediately understood that his sister had been possessed by Jinn. He told his mother to keep him updated on his sister's condition, and he would call them regularly. The man started working in Mecca, but his mind was occupied with thoughts of his sister. He called his family periodically, and his father told him that they had taken her to psychiatric doctors, as he was old and did not know anything about ruqyah or Jinn. He bought medicines for her, which she started taking. She would calm down for a while, but then the seizures and tremors would return. She reached a point where she wanted to leave the house naked, walking around the house unclothed, prompting her mother to quickly cover her with clothes. She had also attempted suicide multiple times. The family kept this a secret from her brother, fearing that he would leave his job and return to them. They wanted him to build his future and save money so he could marry. They continued this way for 3 years without telling him anything. However, her brother suspected that she was not well, and when he confronted them, they told him the truth because she had reached a point of wanting to commit suicide. Upon learning how serious the situation was, the man spoke to his employer and said he would leave Saudi Arabia permanently. However, he told his family he would come to them and then return to his job. When he arrived in Yemen after 3 years of absence, he spent a week, handed over the dowry, and got married. In the second week of his marriage, his sister's condition worsened significantly. He abandoned his honeymoon, saying he could not let his sister suffer while he enjoyed his marriage. He had to start treating his sister and began reciting the Quran for her. The Jinn possessing her spoke, and because the man was an expert in ruqyah, he managed to engage the Jinn in conversation. The Jinn asked who he was and why he was interfering, claiming that the sister had killed his son. The man asked what the Jinn wanted, and the Jinn replied that he wanted retribution. The man asked the Jinn if he was Muslim, to which the Jinn said no and identified himself as Murad, a Jewish Jinn from the rebellious Jinn. The man asked why the Jinn had possessed his sister and how she had killed his son. The Jinn said that the sister had killed his son when she threw the pitcher on the roof, and he managed to possess her because she was not clean menstruating. The man reminded the Jinn that Prophet Muhammad PBUH said that the dwellings of Jinn are in the seas, mountain tops, caves, and filthy places, questioning why the Jinn was in their house. However, the Jinn was indifferent, and after the man asked him to leave his sister's body, the Jinn refused. Days passed, with the man continuing to recite the Quran for his sister, repeating the same conversation with the Jinn, who still refused to leave her body. This man had sisters who were teachers in private schools in Yemen. One day, while the man was walking around, a group of anti-terrorism officers attacked and arrested him. They blindfolded and handcuffed him, then took him to their headquarters and placed him in a cell. The next day, they called him for interrogation, accusing him of terrorism. The man insisted he was innocent and had nothing to do with what they were accusing him of, explaining that he had been working in Saudi Arabia for 3 years. They said it wasn't because he was religious, but because he had terrorism charges against him. The man remained in this situation for 16 days, from the cell to daily interrogations. On the 17th day, they told him he was innocent and could go. He protested, saying he had been imprisoned for 16 days as a newlywed, asking what had happened. They replied that they were just doing their job and didn't know who had accused him, asking him to sign a statement that he had not been tortured or mistreated. His cousin came to pick him up and told him that his sister was the reason for his imprisonment. The man asked how that happened. His cousin explained that one of his sisters, who was a teacher, had taken home a survey from the school administration that required her to list students' names and their parents' occupations. His ill sister saw the survey and sent threatening messages to the parents who worked as government officers, claiming that her brother would bomb and kill them. Due to the ongoing war in Yemen, the authorities took the threats seriously and arrested him. The man said that his sister was not to blame, it was the jinn possessing her. He vowed to continue treating her. Indeed, the man recited the Quran for his sister daily until the jinn finally surrendered and left her. She started praying, fasting, and completing the Quran every 3 days.